on Saturday, the Los Angeles Galaxy won their 6th MLS Cup, becoming the leader by 2 cups over DC United, who have just the 4.
2 more cups. They got doubled
their lead in the MLS Cup
You're
leaderboard.
saying that the LA Galaxy, which, by the way, I think officially they are the LA Galaxy. They're not the Los Angeles Galaxy. I saw that from Charlie Boehm on Blue Sky. I was like, what? What, they did what? I guess probably I knew that when it happened years ago and just didn't register that you can't call them the Los Angeles Galaxy anymore because they're not. They are the LA Galaxy. They are double fisting with their 2 extra cups now over DC United. We talked about that issue of putting the extra star. They deserved it. They were the better team. They were the better team over the season than the Red Bulls, obviously. So there's something nice about the team that had the better regular season winning the cup when you get down to a final. I'm not opposed to upsets. I'm not opposed to a Cinderella story. I'm ready for somebody to knock the stupid Kansas City Chiefs off of their pedestal. Thank you very much. But at the same time, you've watched 34 regular season games for each of these teams, the playoff runs that they've had, and yeah, there's some good stories there for the Red Bulls. But man, the Galaxy not only had the better team, they had the story, really. I mean, the Ricky Puig ACL tear in the semifinal, in the conference final against Seattle, set this stage to do it for Ricky, right? And we heard a number of players talk about that. Greg Vanney obviously had to figure out a way to cover for the absence of Ricky Puig. And when we saw that lineup, Rob, I don't know if this was your reaction. I saw some Galaxy fans go, wait, what? You're not starting Diego Fagundes? You're not starting Marco Reus? You're starting Gaston Brugman with Mark Delgado, with Edwin Cerrillo? You're going basically defensive. You're going into this thinking it's going to be a fight. And instead, while I do think that that was the thinking on Vanney's part for a lot of it, Gaston Brugman pulled a trick out of his bag and set up an incredible goal from Pencil. I think Carlos Coronel shot probably should have done better. The ball does go underneath him. It's not a great shot from Pencil, but the pass was magic. It was perfect, Rob. So the Galaxy pulled all the right strings. They did all the right things to win this title.
The Galaxy were definitely galvanized by the loss of Ricky when you saw the outpouring of emotions and, getting his jersey. And there were so many shots of one of the side stories was the gradual undressing of Puig through the entire game. Cause his first shot of him, very dapper, coiffed, suit, tie, the whole thing. And then the tie got loose and then the jacket was done. And then by the time the final celebrations he had no jacket, no tie, unbuttoned down to the chest. And in the post-game celebrations, he's getting pushed around shirtless in a drinks cooler. But just to stay at the top of the game here, both teams without key players. But the Galaxy had a whole week to game plan. Vanney, what you said with that midfield lineup, obviously had the right game plan, had a week to put it all together. They knew what they were doing without their key man, Ricky Puig. Whereas the Red Bulls of New York, they had their key center back, Andres Reyes, pull out literally in the pre-match warm-up, and that turned out to be a big storyline, especially early in this final.
Yeah, the loss of Andres Reyes really did loom large. Now, I think there was some scapegoating of Noah Ile at the back as he stepped in for Reyes. I don't think he played poorly. And the story of the second half was very different than the story of the first half. The Galaxy putting those 2 goals together in pretty quick succession did set the stage. Obviously, the Red Bulls get the set piece goal to pull themselves back into it, so at least to make it a game with Sean Nealis on the end of that. But I think... I think, yes, the Reyes was a problem. The absence of Reyes was a problem for the Red Bulls. I still think the Galaxy would have won the match. I can't prove that. I can't prove to you that Pencil gets in behind on the pass from Brugman or that Joveljic is able to dance through the box the way that he did with a classy finish. But, maybe if Andres Reyes is there, he doesn't find the space to get that shot off. I don't know. Those things are really tough to say. And, feel for the Red Bull fans. Feel for our friend Mark Fishkin, who was on the show last week. All of those people have been waiting for so long. It's only their second crack at it in a final, and they come up, just a little bit short. 4 minutes really upended their season. The funny thing about, you mentioned the Ricky Puig undressing on the sideline. There also was that desperation. Joseph Painso was like, guys, where's Ricky's jersey? I'm trying to celebrate Ricky here. Where's his damn jersey? He's like looking at the sideline, like, give me the jersey, give me the jersey.
I wasn't sure what he was going after. I thought he was yelling at the sideline ref, like as if there was an offside flag that he disagreed with. So I was a little confused watching it that
Yeah.
he's yelling at somebody while everyone else is celebrating. I was
Yeah.
not sure what was happening
Yeah,
at first.
he was desperate. It didn't look, you're right, it looked like something else than celebrating the goal. It looked like he was, I don't know, upset. I thought he had a plan to celebrate. And I guess in my brain, I forgot about Ricky at that moment. And I was like, oh, he wants something of his. Like he had a plan to celebrate. I was telling my wife, I'm like, oh, he definitely had a plan to celebrate a goal if he scored in this final. And I wasn't thinking it had anything to do with Ricky Puig, but he's desperately waving. And then the broadcast cut away. I was watching on Apple TV. It cut away from all of that. And I never saw in that moment live, I never saw Joseph Pansel holding up Ricky Puig's jersey. I only saw it when they went back and replayed it because they had a different camera angle that caught him holding up the jersey. And I was like, oh, that's what that's all about. Okay, yeah, that makes sense that he was trying to celebrate Ricky.
They cut away to the replay once he finally got the jersey, and then when they came back to it, they didn't have the shot of him with the name on it.
Right.
But it was inferred, I suppose. But overall, like obviously the game plan and the team selections worked out really well for Vanny. But when the game was playing out, it just seemed like in general, even without the scratches of Puig and Reyes, it almost seemed like LA had just too much offensive firepower. When you really sit
Yeah.
back and look at Paintsell, Peck, Joveljic, I mean, they had a lot of goal scorers on there, and you couldn't really find, other than their frailty from defending corners, which was a thing, which led to the one Red Bull goal. They really just seemed to just have too much in their locker.
Yeah, this is what we talked about. The Galaxy were the more talented team, especially up top. I mean, there are good players on that Red Bull side. They wouldn't have been in the final without them. I mean, Lewis Morgan's a good player. Emil Forsberg's a good player. Dante Van Zier's a good player. I like Daniel Edelman a lot. I mean, I think Tolkien, okay day. Maybe things didn't go exactly the way he would have liked. And again, but we know the Red Bulls are going to play against the ball. We know that they're going to have a handful of chances over the course of 90 minutes, if that, right? And I'm looking at the numbers here. The Rebels actually ended up with more of the ball on the day, but I think that's so much about game state. It was already 2-0 15 minutes into the game. LA didn't need the ball after that. Or if they, once the Red Bulls got their goal back in the 28th minute, it was a little bit more stressful, I imagine, for LA. But this flipped the story because the Red Bulls are not good with building up from the back or in through possession, right? I saw at one point one of the tactical analyses accounts on, is that how you say that? On Blue Sky. Somebody I follow that was looking at the game tactically, and I can't remember who it was, so my apologies for not crediting them, but they were saying like the Red Bull, part of the Red Bull problem was that they were pushing their wingbacks so high up the field. That's Tolkien and Cameron Harper on the other side. They were pushing them so high up the field there was no way to play with because those channels were cut off playing wide to those guys. So then you just cycle the ball back, and now you're playing long. And you're playing into 50-50 balls, and that's not the strength of the Red Bulls. And again, it's a matter of just not having that tool in their bag, the possession-based game that they needed to have in order to overcome the 2-goal deficit.
Star players needed to show up in these desperate moments, and Emil Forsberg, producer Jenny mentioned it on our Slack during the game that Forsberg's going to have nightmares about this. No successful dribbles, only 42 touches, 2 touches in the opponent's opposition box. Didn't see much from the Red Bulls' key player that really led them through this great playoff run.
Yeah, again, finals can be tricky. Game state mattered a lot here. The Galaxy had the benefit of home field advantage, those things. It just wasn't the Red Bull day. I don't know if that it needs to be any more than that. I don't think Sandro Schwartz necessarily did anything wrong. I mean, again, if Reyes is on the field, maybe one of those goals doesn't happen, and things are a little different. And if you are playing from a position of either leading or just even level, if the Red Bulls had managed to keep it level through the first half, it could have been their day. And instead, they fall behind, things flip. Vanny's got the talent on the field to make the difference. They defended well enough, right? I think there were a couple of moments at the back for Yoshida and that crew, but the Galaxy were the better team. Deserve this championship. Six, as Pep would say, like this. 6.
That did come to mind earlier, and congratulations to the Galaxy.